a lot of people are talking about the sustainability, about the emissions. So SAF is the fuel. You flew in November last year, the first commercial flight that came into Australia using this particular mix of fuels. Are governments doing enough around the world to encourage airlines to use this fuel?
I think they've gone a little bit too far, in the sense that it's not encouraging. They're introducing what we call the mandate, where they're saying you must, by such and such a point, uplift X percentage of your fuel requirements, otherwise you're in for a problem. This is not the way to do it. This stick approach, in my view, is not the way to get us across the line with regard to SAF. Today, the airline community, to a man, woman, call it what you like, would be using SAF if they could. We're equally concerned about the effect.
So why can't they use SAF?
Because there isn't enough being produced.
So why is there not being enough produced?
Because the investment needed to create refineries to do it, or convert old refineries, the cost of the feedstock, or importantly the opportunity cost of the feedstock. In other words, if you extract feedstock from arable land which is put down for food production, you've got to be a little bit wary of that. So at the moment, the biomass feedstock, then you've got the cooking oils and all the other bits and pieces. This is all well and good, but the reality is that is it going to produce today, 0.1% of the total production of aviation fuel is SAF, 0.1%. We've been given goals of 6%, 10%, and all the other bits and pieces. We would be the first to grab it. As you say, we demonstrated that we can fly the aeroplanes on stuff that's come out of cooking oil or whatever you like. The scalability of what they're talking about is, remember, 550 million tonnes was consumed per annum prior to COVID by the aviation community. 0.1% is going nowhere. 10%, 55 million, but it continues to grow. Demand for travel continues to grow. So we need to, first of all, face the reality of what we can do. Technology is moving at pace, particularly in power to liquid, hydrogen, and all the other bits and pieces. But whether that's going to deliver this in the timescale that everybody aspires to is a question of the science, the scalability, and the investment that comes into it, both from governments and the private sector. If the two are at odds as to who puts the money in, there's going to be a difficulty in all of getting to where we need to be. And then, of course, the governments may say, well, not our problem. If you don't uplift 10% by such and such a point, we're going to fine you. We're going to fine the airports for not having the facilities to do it. We're going to fine the production companies for not producing the oil to fill the facilities that aren't there. And then eventually it comes full circle and it ends up being paid for by the consumer. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is really get to grips with it, invest in the things that we need to do to get some modicum of SAF in the sense, but really the future is determined by technology which looks at alternative means other than what we're doing. But if you're going power to liquid and you want to get hydrogen, the power that takes is enormous. So you can only do that through, you won't get through that through alternative sources, solar, wind, etc. You need to go into things like nuclear. And nuclear will give you, modular nuclear energy will give you the ability to not only power what you need for a country, but also give you the power to do all these power to liquid transformations. But don't forget, hydrogen is not a mobile thing. If you're trying to get hydrogen production plants into tertiary manufacturing areas like the Ruhr, you've got to be able to distribute it, and therein lies issues with regard to how you do that. Or do you co-locate those manufacturing plants close to the sources of manufacturing, or do you put them in where you might, for instance, get solar as well as nuclear producing what you need to do it? I don't know. All those things are out there, but are we going to do it overnight? No.
It's always good to chat to you, and many thanks for your time today.
You're welcome.